Hey guys, I'm John Setzler and welcome back to Atlanta Grill Company. Today I'm going to fire up the Pellet Joe and I'm going to kind of borrow an idea that we saw Chef Eric Gephart do recently for Kamado Joe. We are going to take a tri-tip and we're going to make pulled or shredded tri-tip out of that. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do here is introduce you to this beautiful tri-tip. This one weighs right at about 2 pounds. This is from Porter Road, and we're going to get started by seasoning this guy up. I'm going to use today the Atlanta Grill Company Prime, which is a dill and red pepper flakes based blend. It's got salt in it. We're going to put a nice liberal coat of that on both sides. I'm going to flip it, get some on the back. Then I'm going to let that sit for just a few minutes to let that bind, and then we're going to vacuum seal it. And I put mine back in the refrigerator overnight, which is optional for you, but I like to do that. I like to give this guy a nice tight seal in my chamber sealer and let it get a good vacuum on it. And then we're going to take that and put it in the refrigerator where it can marinate in that seasoning with the salt in it all night long. First thing I want to do to get started is I have fired up my Pellet Joe, and I'm in the process of warming this up to somewhere between 425 and 450, and I'm going to set my Le Creuset brazier right here in the middle, and we're going to let that warm up with the grill. I've given my pan adequate time to preheat here, so I'm going to open this up and we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in this pan. I'm going to let that oil heat up, and then we're going to sear this meat. And after about a minute or so, that oil is going to be nice and hot. So we're going to put this guy in here and give it a nice sear. I'm going to press down on that. We're going to close it and give it a couple of minutes here. And after I've let that guy sear for a couple of minutes on that side, I'm going to give it a flip, and we're going to sear just a little bit on that back side also. Okay, after I've given that a little bit of time to sear on the other side, I'm going to pull that out of the pan momentarily, and I'm going to turn my grill temp down to about 300 to 325. And here's another place where I'm going to deviate a little bit from what Chef likes to do. Chef likes red wine with his beef, but I like Guinness, so we're going to deglaze this pan with a little bit of Guinness. That's looking about right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got some onions that I've sliced up, and I'm going to put some onions down here on the bottom of this pan. Then I'm going to set my tri-tip back in right on top of those onions, and I think I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this bottle of Guinness in there. That's just a 12-ounce bottle. And then I've got more onions. I've got 3 cloves that are really some nice sized cloves of smashed garlic. And then Chef used jalapeno peppers in his. I'm going to use poblanos that I've sliced up. Just going to put a handful of those in there. And then I've got my tomato that we're going to put in. This pan is going to be overpacked, but I think we're going to be okay. I'm just going to dump it all in there. And then I'm going to set my lid on my Le Creuset, but I'm going to leave it offset just a little bit like Chef did, where we can keep some smoke going in there. And Chef said this takes 3 or 3.5 hours, so I'm gonna let this go for an hour or an hour and a half, and then we're gonna come back and have a look. And I almost forgot one important thing. We're not gonna braise just with Guinness. I am going to finish that braise off with some beef stock. So I'm gonna add beef stock to this pan until the pan's probably gonna be about half full. You want your braising liquid to be up halfway or 3/4 of the way on top of that meat. So I'll put my lid back on there, leave it offset just a little bit, and we'll be back in an hour and a half. We've been going an hour and a half now, so I want to pull this open and have a look. Oh yeah, that looks pretty darn good. So we're going to let this go just like it's going. I'm going to leave that cracked because we do want that liquid to reduce some in there. So we've been an hour and a half. We'll probably come back in another hour or hour and a half to have another look. Guys, we've been going about 3 hours and 45 minutes or so here, and I believe this guy's ready. I want you to just have a look. Man, that looks and it smells off the hook. So I'm going to take this off the grill. We're going to set it aside and let it rest for a few minutes while we get something else ready. I've let this rest here for a few minutes, so I'm going to pop the lid off of it, and I'm going to take a fork here, and we're just going to have a look at how easily that shreds. Man, this is going to be absolutely off the hook. I'm going to shred this a little bit, and I'm going to kind of mix it in with this leftover braising liquid that we've got here with these onions and tomatoes and whatnot, and we are going to serve that on a bagel. I've ramped the heat back up on the classic, and I've taken an everything bagel and I've sliced it in half, smeared a little olive oil on it. We're gonna give it a little bit of a toast. So I've toasted that bagel a little, and we're gonna park some of this amazing Porter Road tri-tip that's shredded so beautifully right on top of part of that bagel. I want to make sure I get some of the tomatoes and some of that poblano pepper on there. And guys, I'm going to top it off with the other half of that. And what you have here is something that's going to be life-changing for you. I'd like to thank Chef Eric for this idea. This beef is incredible. It's really good. I'm going to go back and do it his way with the red wine, because that's going to bring more of a beef bourguignon flavor to this. And the jalapeno peppers are going to be a little bit warmer than the poblanos. But guys, this is off the hook. I wish you could taste it. It is crazy good. So until next time, this is John Setzler with Atlanta Grill Company.